Don, your big takeaway from the game, obviously Bayern Munich going behind early, but then they just went through the gears.
Yeah, it's almost they just flexed their muscles, didn't they? It's like watching a Bayern side of years gone by where you just knew it was inevitable that it doesn't matter what happens, even when they go behind. They were relentless in their play. I thought Leon Goretzka was outstanding. He has been since the pandemic and since the first game that Bayern have been back. His form has been terrific. But, you know, Hansi Flick's done a terrific job. He's won 23 out of 26. But it's not just the wins, it's how they're playing. You know, Thomas Muller was probably a guy that was on the sidelines. Pep Guardiola didn't play him in the big games in the Champions League. Niko Kovac didn't really fancy him. So for him to come back and show that personal pride and the character that he's undoubtedly got inside the dressing room and taking it back onto the pitch with the confidence that he's got, I think he's been a shining example to any young pro. When you think you might be finished and when you think you might be shown the door, if you stick at it and you believe in your own ability, there is always a way back. But Bayern were just far too strong for Leverkusen today.
It was men against boys, as we say so often, isn't it, Frank, when we see Bayern play at the moment?
Well, it seems to be so easy for them. Well, you wonder, you know, what's going to be against Bayer Leverkusen, because Bayer Leverkusen has a big strength, you know, and maybe getting able to put Bayern in danger. But when you see the game, like we saw the game against Dortmund, Bayern Munich is so superior in any position to the other team that you don't see how they're only 7 points ahead and how they're not championed already. You know. Even after the 10 minutes that you saw that game against Bayer Leverkusen, that suddenly something will happen and they will change the game. Again, Bayern Munich is so superior that you know they're going to win at the end. It's so clear for me, they're so strong that it's clear that they're going to be the champion and they deserve it.
They've just got that swagger about them, haven't they, Ali?
Of course they do. And they have the backdrop of confidence and understanding they've done this before. And they know very well that the players out on the field are more than capable, more talented than whoever they're playing against. As a side note, and I know that we're talking about Bayern Munich and this is the angle of the conversation, but if you're Bayer Leverkusen and you're up 1-0, I don't quite understand as to why you think you're going to defend against the speed of Bayern Munich by having a high line and no pressure on the ball. High line and no pressure the ball is irresponsible defending and flat out dumb. And you continue to do it well. What you ended up happening was any time that Leon Goretzka, as just Don mentioned, he got on the ball and he looked up, he said, well, wait a minute, there is 40 yards of spacing behind the back line. I have time and space. I can pick my head up, and here comes Serge Gnabry with a late run, or here comes Thomas Muller with a late run, or maybe it's Alphonso Davies, or it's a Kingsley Coman for the first goal, and so on and so forth. And it just happened time and time and time again. And when you have the talent available and the confidence available that Bayern Munich has, well, they're going to destroy you. And eventually they did. This game was over by halftime.
What's going to happen to Goretzka, Ali? Has he done enough to deserve continuing in the starting 11? Of course, no Thiago once again, stay on the bench. How is this going to play out? I suppose we're looking ahead, aren't we, almost already to August?
Yeah, this is when managing has to take a very important role here. And Hansi Flick is going to really have to make a decision because Thiago Alcantara is supposed to be the guy. He is supposed to be a no-doubter. He's going to be the linchpin right there in the middle of midfield. Well, Leon Goretzka is not only providing that link up in the midfield with Joshua Kimmich, he's also actually joining in the attack. And he's giving you something that perhaps Thiago Alcantara doesn't give you naturally, and that is a presence in the attacking 18-yard box and scoring important goals and doing so. And so this is the sort of decision that Hansi Flick is going to have to look back and say, you know, this is about managing now. How do we rotate? How do we give opportunities to players? And if Goretzka keeps playing the way that he is, as important as Thiago Alcantara has been to this team in the past, I think you play the hot hand for as long as you can.
It's quite the dilemma, isn't it, Don?
It is, but that's the beauty of having someone like Joshua Kimmich, isn't it, who plays at right back, and Pavard at right back and plays as a centre-half as well. And when you look at Kimmich, you think he's a clone of Philipp Lahm. You know, he's an intelligent player. You know, he can play in a number of positions. So the way Goretzka, I don't know if you guys have seen the transformation in his body since he went to Bayern. Leon Goretzka, he's quite skinny, and he obviously was tall. He had the height, didn't have the physicality. Now, over the last, I don't know what it is, 3, 4, 5 months, he has packed on a lot of muscle. And you see the before and after shots. It's a little bit like when Gareth Bale first arrived at Real Madrid or at Tottenham. He sort of bulked up and got his got his body and his legs and his strength. And when you look at Goretzka, it's exactly the same. But to answer your question, they've got some players by him where they can shift them around. And Kimmich's the one. Kimmich's the linchpin. He's probably, even though Lewandowski and you got all the superstars and the A-listers, Kimmich's probably the first one on the team sheet because he can literally play anywhere.
I mentioned at the top of the show, Thomas Muller, 20 assists so far this season. Lovely little touches today we saw, Frank. What a transformation he's had since the new manager's come in.
That's incredible, and that's what it is when you have the right mentality and you think about being a real professional, not giving up, always forcing maybe sometimes the coach to have a look at you and know that at some point you will have to respond and you will be at the right time at the right moment, and he did that. Of course, Kovac didn't trust him, and he had a few times on the field with him. But as soon as the new coach came in and put him in, I mean, he was there and he was ready. And as he always been, because I always liked this player, thinking about the team, not only thinking about himself. And I'm not surprised that he gives so much assist to the others because he thinks collectively. He doesn't think about his statistic. He doesn't think about his own football. He thinks about getting trophies, winning with his teammates, and he has the prize for that because he's a fantastic player. All through his career, he showed that mentality, and now he's get the award.
It's incredible, isn't it, Don? You take a look back at Kovac, sometimes not even starting him. It seems an impossibility now.
It's just outrageous, isn't it? When you look at the attributes on and off the pitch of Thomas Muller, you think about what he's like, and he's good in the air. He's such a good athlete. It's his character, I think, when you watch him inside the dressing room and watch him on the football pitch, you know that his character is infectious. You see the way he plays the game. He's got a smile on his face. He's always full of energy. And that rubs off on the younger players. Even the older players will be looking at him and checking out his attitude as well. But whenever you play him on the pitch, I can't remember too many times that Thomas Muller's ever let the team down. Now, Guardiola wanted to go a different way in the big games, and he maybe thought that he wasn't the silkiest football like someone like Thiago is. But I tell you what, if you play and you build a team around him and you get him close to that number 9 position, you play him just off in any of the 3 roles, could be off the right, through the middle, off the left, and you have him arriving late into the box, as you said, he'll get goals and he'll get his assists.
He's clearly loving it as well.
Dan.
You can see that.
Yeah, Dan, and I think the most important part about what I see from Thomas Muller currently is the fact that he has reinvented his game. For the first few years that we saw Thomas Muller at the top tier level, we thought of him as a poacher, as a guy who was going to score scrappy goals inside the 6-yard box, who had an instinct for getting on the end of things, on the end of rebounds, on the end of crosses. And here what we find from him is, okay, I cannot be that guy anymore because Robert Lewandowski is that guy. He is the best out-and-out striker in the world. There's no doubt about that. So I'm not going to take him off the field. And so therefore, how do I then position myself where I can impact the game on a consistent manner and a positive manner for this team? And so what he does is just play off of the shoulder of Lewandowski and kind of underneath spaces and go into wide areas. And in order to be able to do that, not only do you have to have the positive attitude that Don and Frank are talking about and some of the leadership qualities that they refer to, but you also have to have a guy who can figure out, okay, you know what? Let me take a good look in the mirror and say, am I better than Lewandowski at what he does? Probably not. And so now I have to find other ways to be useful. And in order to be useful, then I have to work on my delivery. Then I have to work on my touches. And it's not a coincidence. I can imagine that then Thomas Muller, once he made this decision that, you know what, it's not the number 9 position for me, I have to go and play somewhere else, that he's working on his crossing because it doesn't happen overnight. You have to be able to not only see the cross, but execute the cross. And now he does that naturally. There's a player here who has shown maturity and has reinvented his game, and Bayern Munich is reaping the benefits.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.